Okay, we're going to start doing a little bit about Pesach. Because Pesach different. Every week a different thing about Pesach. So for this week, I'd like to speak about Heseba, leading on Pesach, what the mitzvah is, what it's not.
Wives on the phone? They're too busy cooking.
So the Gemara says in Pesach and Kuf Chesed Alf, Itma matzah tzarich Heseba, matzah needs Heseba. When you eat matzah, you have to do Heseba, you have to lean and eat the matzah. Marar ain't tzarich Heseba, Marar doesn't need Heseba, and the reason is because Marar is meant for remembering of the bad times, and matzah is Zeichel Cheres. Yayin, how about the abrikosis that we drink? Does it need Heseba or not? So the Gemara says, Im Meshmei Rav Nachman tzarich Heseba. In one place, Rav Nachman says the abrikosis need Heseba. V'im Meshmei Rav Nachman ain't tzarich Heseba. It doesn't need Heseba. So it's a stira what Rav Nachman said. Does the yayin need Heseba or does the yayin not need Heseba? And the Gemara says v'loi pligi, and they're not arguing. Ha betarti kasi kamoi. Ha betarti kasi basuroi. One of Rav Nachman's things is talking about the first two cases, and one of Rav Nachman's things is talking about the second two cases. And the Gemara doesn't say yet which one is which. So now we have Rav Nachman. One of Rav Nachman says Yayin needs Heseba. Yayin you have to lean. And one Rav Nachman says Yayin doesn't need Heseba. And the Gemara says it depends. The first two cases or the last two cases. Now the Gemara says Amar le'lahai gisa, Amar le'lahai gisa. Some say it one way and some say it the other way. Which two cases need Heseba? Amar le'lahai gisa, Trei kasi kamoi boy Heseba. The first two cases need Heseba, and not the last two. Why? So the Gemara brings a svara. When we're saying that God, the first two cases is when we speak about the Geula. When we speak about Avodah Meinu, and we end up that we came out of Mitzrayim. At the end of that God, by the time we're doing the second case, we're already out of Mitzrayim. So the first two cases, when we're speaking about the Geula, but how the Yidden left Mitzrayim, for that you have to do Heseba. But Trei Kasi Basroi, the second two cases, Loi Boy Heseba. Why? Mai Hava Hava. By that time already we're out of Mitzrayim. It's in the past. Yesterday's news, right? Mai Hava Hava. We're already finished. For the second two cases, you don't have to have Heseba. That's one pshat in the Gemara. But Amir Lo Lahai Gisa. And some people say the opposite. Adu Rabba. Trei Kasi Basroi, the second two cases, boy Heseba. They do need Heseba. Why? Hahishata the Kavacheres. Now is when you're free. The first two cases you weren't free yet. You're still in Mitzrayim. The second two cases, Trei Kasi Kamoi Lo Boy Heseba, like Kate Avodah Meinu. We're still Avodim. What are you doing Cheres for? That's a machlekes in the Gemara. It's interesting. There's a famous verse from the Chassam Sofer that he says, we don't make a bracha on the Agada. When we say the Agada, we start the Agada, we don't make a bracha on the Agada. Every mitzvah we have, we make a bracha. Sibit says Mitzrayim. Why is there no bracha? When do we make a bracha at the end? Go al Yisrael. Why don't we make a bracha in the beginning? So says the Chassam Sofer that it says B'chol dar v'dar chayiv adam liris as atzmai illahu yatzim Mitzrayim. Every dar a person has to imagine himself that he himself is living it and he's going out of Mitzrayim. So we start with Avodah Meinu L'Parah B'Mitzrayim. We go through the whole Shibud Mitzrayim. We come out of Mitzrayim. We get the Torah, and then we say Go Al Yisrael. When we started off saying Avodah Meinu, we were Avodim. We weren't Jews yet, right? We're not Jews yet. After we come out of Mitzrayim, and after we get the Torah, now we became Yidden. So the halach is a ger who toivels, a ger that does tefillah, and it becomes Jewish. So usually you make a bracha before the mitzvah. Every mitzvah you do, like lulav, esrog, sukkah, you make the bracha before you do the mitzvah, not afterwards. But when a ger toivels, he makes the bracha after the tefillah. Why?
He's not Jewish.
He's not Jewish yet beforehand. Afterwards, now we can make a bracha. Says the Chassam Sofer, when we started Sata God, Avodah Meinu L'Parah Mitzrayim, we're not Jewish.
Very good.
When do we become Jewish? At the end of the Agada. So we can't make the bracha in the beginning. Because b'chol davar chayv adam le'atzma kil le'atzma mitzrayim. So that's why the bracha is only at the end, when we become Jewish.
What about the Haseba?
What?
Haseba. What about the Haseba?
No, we'll get to Haseba in a second. That's what he says on the bracha. So that's the same thing as...
That's a great answer. It's like an answer. If you need an answer, you come up with an answer.
I'm starting to save his teretz. That's what the Gemara is saying over here. The first two cases, you don't do a Seba. Why not? Akata avodah me'inu. We're still avodah. We're not free yet. Chol every day. You have to make believe imagine as if you yourself are leaving Mitzrayim. So the first two cases don't need a Seba. The second two, when we're free already, that's when we have a Seba. That's the machlokes in the Gemara.
That's what we do all for.
So what do we do?
We do all four.
What?
We do all four.
We do all four. Why do we do all four?
It's machlokes, so we may as well do it all four.
We may as well do all four. So Zok the Gemara.
The same price.
Now that we say like this, we say like this. Machlokes, which two need a Seba? The first two or the second two? Therefore, they're both, all four need a Seba. Because we don't know which one to do. You have the first two, you have the second two. Machlokes, which two need a Seba? All four, we do Haseba. Everybody's okay with that?
You're already sitting there. Do it.
Do it. There's a problem is, and the Ran asked the Kasha, very famous Ran. Haseba.
It's leaning in vain.
Leaning in vain. So the Kasha like this. We know, where does Haseba come from? Is Haseba mitzvah deraisa? The fact that we have to be mitzvah, that we have to do Haseba on Pesach night. Where does it come from? So almost all the Rishonim learn it's a din d'Rabbanan. It's a simon for cheres. Simon for cheres that we went out for free. We went out free. Therefore you lean. It's a simon for cheres. So
it has to be more to be then you have to drink the kais again.
Oh, see, we get to that. Get easy, Randall. We're getting there.
I'm taking it easy.
We're getting there. So it's a din d'Rabbanan. It's a din d'Rabbanan that you have to be meisiv. We know the klal. Safek d'Rabbanan, l'hakal. If you have a safek by din d'Rabbanan, what do? You go to kula. So here I have a safek. Which two kaises are the kaises you have to lean? It's a safek d'Rabbanan. It's a safek in a din d'Rabbanan. So what do we say? You know what? Do all four. It should be the opposite. Do none. Right? Safek d'Rabbanan l'kula. You're not sure which ones to do.
Do nothing.
Safek d'Rabbanan l'kula. Right? That's the Ran's kasha. The chol safek d'Rabbanan l'kula. Hacha here it's different. Why? Kivin the lav milsa the trichahi. It's not a hard thing to do. Therefore, avdina l'rafcha de milsa. We do it. L'rafcha de milsa. L'rafcha de milsa means it's good. Why not? What could you lose of doing it? That's what the Ran says. One teretz. Another teretz. V'linir da karchach boy l'mered the seva b'kula u'dineza l'kula. That what's going to happen is how me'eker mitzvah seva l'gamri. If we're going to go l'kula, everyone agrees you have to do a saber on one of the two kaisis. So machlokes which two? If you're going to say safek d'Rabbanan l'kula
On two of the four.
on two of the four, either the first two or the second two, everyone agrees to that. You're going to say safek d'Rabbanan l'kula. What's happening is that none. No one says none. Nobody says do none. Everybody says two. Which two? The first two or the last two? So if you can go ahead and do none, it's not like anybody. It says the Ran, and then you can't say safek d'Rabbanan l'kula, because then you're not going to look at anybody. Second teretz in the Ran. Fine, that's the Ran's kasha and the Ran's teretz.
But one in each.
What?
Take one from the first part and one from the second part.
It would be good.
People say that? No,
One and three.
See, no one says that. The question is if
maybe it makes sense to them.
no, but the Gemara doesn't say it. The Gemara says either the first or the last. Now, there's a Tosfos brings down when it says about the dinei haseba. Tosfos says what happens if somebody drank the kais and he didn't do haseba? He drank it regular. Does he have to go ahead and drink over the kais? Was he yotze the mitzvah or not? So Tosfos says, I'm not sure what to do. Im shokach v'lo hesiv. If someone drank one of the kaises and he wasn't meisiv, what's the halacha? Im yachzer v'yishta. If he has to go ahead and drink the kais again, he wasn't yotze the mitzvah. Tosfos says tzarachi. Is that true? The Rosh says you have to drink over again. And we'll see why in a second. The Ran obviously holds that you don't have to drink over again. Because if the Ram would say you have to drink over again, what's he saying? Don't be Meisiv at all? If you have to drink over again, so if you drank the first two kais, they didn't do a Seva. Now, either the second two need a Seva, or the first two need a Seva, you weren't yoytze, you have to drink it over again anyway. So in Manav Shech, you're going to have to drink the last two by a Seva, right? If someone drank the first two kais, it's Shalai by a Seva.
But if you go ahead and you have to drink it again, I mean,
so the next two drink over again, at least by a Seva.
so you're saying forget about the first two and just do the last?
Yeah, at least that much. At least that much. The question is, why? What's the shaila if the kais need haseba, if it's ma'akiv or not? And we should know, we hold halacha that it's ma'akiv. If someone drinks the kaisius, it's ma'akiv.
Any of them.
So we'll see in a second which ones you have to drink over again. We'll see in a second. But ikar didn't we hold that if someone drinks the arba kaisis and is not leaning, he's not yet to the mitzvah. He's got to drink the kaisis over again. Lo yotza, you're not yet to the mitzvah arba kaisis. Then we have to know exactly what does it mean to lean. If someone drinks it like this a little bit, if it's not called leaning, then you weren't yet to the mitzvah. So you have to know what's called leaning. Now everyone agrees that if you sit there and you drink the apple like this and you hand on the table, everyone's masking it's not called leaning. And you're not yet to the mitzvah. You're not yet to the mitzvah. It's a common mistake.
Time to leave.
It's a common mistake.
People
take it. Well, no, you have to fit up there. So in the Rishonim it says that a person does a seva, he has to be leaning totally. They have this thing called the hespet. Hespet
Like
is
lying on a couch.
Lying on a couch.
Yeah.
How do you leave?
What's that? I'll get to that in a second.
This is interesting.
This is why we have
There's
Pesach
something
shame.
called. There's something called.
Didn't lean first.
There's something called the hesped. Hesped is a bed that has a special thing. It's like a little couch.
It has a and
And it has
the kings have it.
You don't have one of those?
I've got 8 of them.
Baruch always has one of
Yeah,
those.
every family.
They have it as a dresser you put in your bedroom.
No, but everybody
That's
had
the
their own
shape,
table as well.
So no table as well, right? So the Ikea din, you have to be Meisiv. So now most of the Shanim hold what's a seva? Mamash lying down. That's called a seva. But the person will say today, it's not a derech to be Meisiv that way. At least what you should do is, at least in order to be Meisiv, either you have to have an armrest, with a pillow or something, and lean this way on the armrest, or have a chair next to you, a different chair, and lean on the chair. A person who's drinking the
Turn the chair
kais,
sideways.
a person who's drinking the kais, and he's not leaning on anything, he's leaning this way, that's not called derech eretz. It's much harder to drink that way because he's not leaning on anything.
And lying on the bed is more comfortable.
It may be hard to drink, you're right.
It's impossible to
It
drink.
may be hard to drink, but it's derech eretz. It's that you're leaning on something. If you have to have a statement, you're going to say that today, anytime you drink anything, it's much harder when you're leaning, right? But it depends. If you're leaning with something on your hand like this, that's so hard to drink. When the cup is full, you're right, it's hard. Once it gets down a little bit, especially when you're eating the matzah, it's not so hard to lean. So if someone's leaning without leaning on anything, just leaning to the side, everyone agrees that's not called a seba.
Not everyone. The guys here don't agree. Right? We don't agree.
I'll tell you how you're not leaning properly. If your 6-year-old child happens to be
And when he's half asleep,
like this, he's leaning like this, he's got his feet up there, he's lying on the other chair. That's leaning.
only 6 free. Not to 10 and 12.
Well, not that's what we're really saying. Sit up straight.
15 and 16.
So the minute they come in a little bit like this.
That's right.
But that's how they know how to lean.
Yeah, that's what leaning. Leaning to the side, without leaning on something, is not called leaning.
You have to have a support.
You lean on the
You
guy.
have to have support.
The whole point is to recognize that there's a difference.
Everybody gets wine all over the
So
whole
if somebody leans 70 degrees instead of 90 degrees, or
I'm not talking
35
about degrees. I so broke down that credit. No, I so broke down that credit. If someone says a lotion of 45 degrees,
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know where he gets it from.
But
But I'm not even talking about degrees. I'm talking about leaning on support.
the whole point is you recognize.
No, recognizing is not enough. Recognize, you don't have to make a hacker. You're saying now a hacker is enough.
Why isn't that not enough? I'm saying that.
Okay, so
If I lean like this, or if I'm lying all the way down and leaning on the, why is that?
no, so because it has to be called.
No, not the angle.
Whether it's support or not. That's actually.
First of all, isn't it comfortable for the person? I have to feel like he came. Not
Because
the way you
So
want me to
that
feel.
we'll get to that. That's what we'll get to that next.
That's a
First, we have to figure out what's called leaning.
leaning.
Right.
if usually you eat like this,
That's how much. That's
and this
throwing
time
that
it's
out
like
there.
this.
Yeah, we have to
No, but what you're doing is calisthenics
categorize.
at that point. You're not relaxing.
In your mind, that's a leaning. It's a leaning.
What's a leaning? You go like this?
When I go like this, I'm leaning.
No, it's that when you go like this,
Yeah.
you're very, very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Unless you have support.
That's right.
Unless you have support.
I agree with you, so.
If you have support,
You can lean against
you can
something.
leave. Forget about drinking. Forget about drinking before you drink anything.
But even if I had support, that wouldn't be comfortable for me with
Why not?
support.
If you have support, you lay like this, you're not comfortable? When you want to take a nap in the middle of a share, right?
Don't count that because every
I have that now.
There's no leaning effect.
Anything.
Years of experience.
You're comfortable no matter what you're doing.
Just keep the voice down a little bit.
I admit it's the wrong direction, but this is leaning.
Leaning with support is called leaning. Leaning without support is not called leaning. It's slouching, yeah. You're uncomfortable. Forget about
Not on the
drinking.
table, you said. Did you say
That's not called support like this. It's not called leaning.
It's the same thing as having
You're
that
saying you
over there.
have to have a chair to lean.
You have to have something to have support when you go
lean
inside.
against the wall? You lean against the wall.
When you have 25 guests, not everyone can have an armchair.
So take a second chair.
Take another chair next to you.
There's no room for another chair. In your dining room, you have room in your thing.
Okay, you
You can't even fit 10 people in your dining
At
room.
least the adults will have. Right, use the same chair. Use the same chair. Turn it back around.
How do you do that? Same chair?
That's so grand.
Because leaning by definition is leaning against something. Against the wall or something. It's
just
leaning
thought
against
that now?
something.
That's just good for a position for a picture.
Something leaning against something that's
You move to the side.
I'll give you an example. Matt saying very good. There's halacha.
One chair.
There's halacha that if someone is leaning while he's doing Kriyas HaTorah, right? Someone's leaning when you're supposed to stand. You're not yotzer, right?
Right.
Halacha says if someone's bending over this way, not leaning on someone that's supporting him, it's not called leaning. He yotzer the mitzvah.
Where does it say that in plain?
What do you say to what? About
You
leaning?
say that you have to lean against something.
You have to be supported by
Where
something.
does it say the word
That's
support?
called a
That's
save. That's
definition
the
of leaning.
Achrayim say. That's called leaning. And I'm bringing you another right. It says if someone's leaning, right? If someone's standing, when you're supposed to be standing, and you're leaning on something, about Kainu that leads on
Can't
something.
lean.
So what does Allah say? If you take
remove
away
the
the support or fall, that's called
How
leaning.
many guys stand there and they're like this and they
Yeah,
like this?
fine.
They like this.
No, but that's
No, that's not a problem. If you take away support, he won't fall to the floor. He'll catch himself before he falls.
Sure, you won't take that beaver away. It's gone.
He'll fall straight down. He'll catch himself halfway. He'll catch himself.
He'll catch him.
He has to fall. There has to be enough support that he'll fall. And that's called leaning. When you're going like this, why is that called leaning? Nothing's supporting you, so it's not called leaning. Leaning means you're being supported by something. That's called leaning.
It's going to be a little bit weird to see like
That wasn't a
the whole
shit
meal.
today, everybody said. This was an agav.
No, also when you're drinking and eating.
Every time you can't
That's
play
all.
chair.
Huh?
It's musical chair.
What are the
15
matzah
minutes.
and the
Yes, the
wine?
matzah and the abachosis.
The rest of the time
You should get either a chair or armrest, something when you're leaning, you're supported. And then we'll use this as the example. When you take away the support, you're going to fall over. You're going to fall over. If you're not going to fall over, then it's not called leaning.
Some houses have big chairs. You can't even do that in the house.
That's how you lean.
Give me 3 glasses of wine. I'll
Don't fall over. If you
The third
fall
glass of
over,
wine, I'm
you-
finished.
No,
Take it away.
If he wouldn't have that thing where he's leaning on, you take it away, he would fall over.
No, you just.
He's leaning. He's
He
leaning.
would catch himself.
He would catch himself.
If you just pull that away, just flop over.
It depends which glass of wine it is.
Definitely you should lean with some type of support. If you're leaning without support,
Get a broomstick.
Wouldn't a pillow do that?
a pillow, but where's the pillow?
What's the pillow?
What's the pillow?
So you're leaning on the pillow.
No, so if you turn like this and you lean like this, that's called leaning.
Yeah.
Because you're supported by
Pull that
something.
away. The whole is if you pull it away and you fell, you lean.
So that's
You
what
have to be so, just to go, I see a lot of,
chair the way
You're not leaning,
you
you gotta
put a
go to
pillow.
turn sideways.
Lean on them.
Yeah, then you push them down.
It's not comfortable.
But a person who just holds a cut like this and goes like this, that's not called leaning. You have to have support. You have to have support.
Leaning was such a difficult thing.
Yeah.
It should be easy.
I can't believe this.
We should have a leaning
The
class.
matzah and the wine yet.
Leaning class.
Leaning lessons.
Not leaning, leaning.
Leaning lessons.
Leaning lessons.
That's how my seder is going to start this year. Let's talk about leaning.
Okay, when you sit there for half an hour, 45 minutes.
So that's what's called a saver.
Especially starting 9 o'clock.
If they have lessons in
So it says, Kol
And if you
Mishasar
have the first
Chaseva,
glass of wine.
anything that needs a saver, Ochel Shasa Beloy Haseva, Lo Yotza. You're not Yotzer. V'sarach Lagzo Lecha V'lishtes by saver, you have to do it over again. So we have to make sure we're doing a Seba correctly. And if not, you have to do it over again.
Or as he says, Pesach Sheni will come.
Some people have 8 cups of wine.
I was going to say, if they're serving fine wine and you like wine, don't leave.
Don't we?
You have to do it over
Be there all
again.
night.
Oh, I forgot again.
So this is achiyuv about us, our wives, and our kids.
No, wives now. We'll see.
No.
We'll see in a second.
Not wives, not wives, right?
We'll see in a second. Unless it's Isha Chashuv.
You're not calling your wife.
Unless it's Shachashuv, I didn't hear that.
Watch this yourself getting recorded. Watch what you
No, we'll see today. Okay, we'll get to the ladies in a second.
They're all
If they're especially on Pesach night.
Yeah, today all Isha Chashuvas. You have to make sure you say that to them at least. You have to think they are.
We'll say it. We'll quote you on that.
But so that's a Seba. So now, Tais means now as a tzarachin if it's ma'akiv or not. Now there's a what's it dependent in? If a Seba is ma'akiv in the Abba crisis or not. So there's a famous piece from the Briskerov on a Seba. It's good for everybody to know. It says like this: there's a din you have to be massive, you have to be lean on Leil Pesach. What does that din mean? Is that din that is a din by itself? The Zeichel Cheres, and therefore you have to lean Leil Pesach. It's a din in itself. Now, when should you lean? You can lean when you eat. You lean when you drink the 4 kaises. Lean when you eat the matzah. The whole time you have to lean. The whole night you have to lean. Or no, it's not a din in itself. You have to lean. It's a din in the mitzvah of the Arba kaises and a din in the mitzvah of Achilas matzah. How you eat the matzah and how you drink the Arba kaises. It's a din that's dependent in the Arba kaises. Now, how do you drink the 4 kaises? The din is you have to do it leaning. How do you eat the matzah? The din is you have to do it leaning. So it says the Briskerov like this: if it's a din in the 4 kaises, if it's a din in the matzah, so if you didn't do it, it affects your mitzvah of the 4 kaises. It affects your mitzvah of achilas matzah, and you were not yotzer. If it's a din in the night, you have to be massive the whole night. If I didn't drink the 4 kaises, it's not a problem with the 4 kaises. It's like you ate sometime during the night without a seba. Okay, you ate without a seba. So it says that's where it's dependent in. And there's a lot of things that depend on this. And I'll give a few examples. One is this halacha right here. If you drank the 4 kaises and you didn't lean, you have to do it over again. Because it's a din in the 4 kaises. How do you drink the 4 kaises? You do a leaning. If you didn't do a leaning, you were in yaitza. He says it's a different halacha. The Rambam says that besides the achilas matzah and the 4 kaises, you should lean even during the Suda. Even during the Suda, you should lean. A whole night. You should sit leaning the whole night. Besides when you're saying the Agada, when you're making brachas, then you don't lean. But anytime you're eating or drinking, you should do leaning. Now, if that's the case, says the Briskerov, obviously it's not a din in the 4 kaises. It's not a din in the matzah. It's a din in the night. That night you have to lean. So he says, then, according to the Rambam, you can't say that the 4 kaises, if you don't do it leaning, you have to do it over again. Because it's a din in the night. The night you need to say, but it's not a din in the Abba kaises or the Achilas matzah. The big question is,
If it's in the night, is there a shear?
no,
Or how much leaning?
no.
30 seconds leaning is enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime you do it is enough. And not just that, but it says, V'chol ha'marbe, whoever does it the whole night, harei zeh meshubach. That's the Lashon Rambam. The Rambam says, anybody who leads the whole night, harei zeh meshubach. So then it must be a din in the whole night. If it's a din in the 4 kaises, a din in the matzah, what's the harei zeh meshubach if you do it the whole night? It's like leaning on a Tuesday. No shaykhs to the night. The problem is, with this whole shikol Torah, is that the Mechaber Paskins and the Ramah Paskins, the Kol Mishah Tzarech HaSeva, like we just said, if you don't do it, it's ma'akiv and you're not yet to the mitzvah. Then the Ramah brings down, U'lechatchila Yesef Kol HaSuda. And lechatchila you should be made to the whole Suda. It's a Tata Desasri. If you hold it's a din in the whole night, then it's not ma'akiv in the 4 kaises. If you hold it's a din in the 4 kaises, no din to be made the whole night. For some reason, we go with both chumras. We say that again, both chumras.
It's a Rabbanon.
To the Rabbanon, yeah.
Well,
Did you say why it's not?
if you have to say the
White
whole night.
ma'akiv, no, that's a white ma'akiv.
No, they don't.
No, it says ma'akiv, the Rosh. Rosh says it's ma'akiv.
So if you have to, the Korban says you have to stay the whole night, that means if you finish the Agada and you realize you didn't lean at all, you got to repeat the whole Agada. Not just the Kaisos.
No, if you didn't lean the whole night, doesn't mean you have to lean by everything.
You
have to lean a certain part of the night, and I raise a meshubach, we do it the whole night. No one says that it's ma'akiv the whole night. That nobody says.
A raise of Meshubah means?
I mean, you're praiseworthy.
Get a star.
You're praiseworthy if you do it the whole night. I mean,
If you lean all night, what happens if you don't lean? All night, you forgot to lean.
that's fine. Everyone agrees that, you didn't lean all the whole night? Then you have to do something. You have to eat something leaning. The din leaning.
But some of the courses, nothing.
No, so we hold that you have to, if you didn't lean the curses, you have to drink over again.
Some of them, not all.
How many? 4?
No, so we'll see in a second. So now, we'll get, Be'ikra din, you shouldn't have to do it over again. We'll see in a second why not. Be'ikra din, if you don't drink any of the 4 curses by Seba, you have to do all 4 of them over again. But we don't pass it now. We'll see why in a second. A different problem. Matzah also. Yeah. We'll see why we don't pass now in a second for a different reason. But the Mechaber says, Kol Mishatzarach HaSeba, you didn't do it, you got to do everything over again. And that's where the Mechaber stays. So Sfaradim, probably, if they don't drink the 4 kaises leaning, they got to drink all 4 of them over again. The Rebbe says something else. There's another issue we have over here. If you want to drink an extra kais, right, during the night, there's something called the Marba ala kaises. You're not allowed to drink more than 4 kaises. So the halacha is between the first 2 kaises, the second and third kais, you're allowed to drink more if you want. After you bench,
Between the third and fourth?
third and fourth, not the second and third.
Second.
Yeah, first, second, third. First till third, you can be marba beina kaises. After you bench, and now you're drinking 2 more kaises, and not after that, you're not allowed to add on to the kaises. You're not allowed to drink more than 2 kaises. If you drink more, it's called marba ala kaises. Why? Because then people don't usually drink. If you don't usually drink and you're drinking more, it shows that you're making more than 4 kaises, you're doing 5 or 6 kaises. So now if someone didn't lean by the 3rd kais, right, so he has to drink over again. But here you have a dilemma. I have to drink over again, but I'm not allowed to be marba ala kaises. So what do? So if you hold that you weren't yaitza at all the 3rd kais, then you got to drink over again. But the Ramah brings down a Shittas Rav Yah. And the Ramah uses the Shittas Rav Yah a lot of times. Shittas Rav Yah is that today you're going to like this, but don't take it too far. The Rav Yah says that today, when people don't lean, usually, people don't eat leaning, and it's opposite, maybe a little bit uncomfortable for us to lean, there's no mitzvah seba.
There you go.
That's what the Rav Yah says.
All that.
The Rav Yah says,
After all that.
the Rav Yah says that today, since we don't usually lean during the year, we all sit straight during the year. Even the richest people don't lean when they eat. So there's no din haseba. There's no din haseba. And there's a whole machlokes in that. I'm not going to get into it now. If you're allowed to lean, because if you're not supposed to lean, and you do lean, it could be it's worse. But that's the shittas Rav Yah. That today you don't have to lean.
It's because we eat like Europeans today, not like Middle Easterners.
Right.
That's why.
So that's what the Rav Yah says. Now we don't pass on like the Rav Yah. So don't get carried away. You go ahead and you say.
You all got excited.
But the Ramah, interestingly, uses the Rav Yah a few times. And one of the times it uses the Rav Yah is between the 3rd and 4th kais. If you didn't lean, and there's a problem, if you drink an extra kais, you're marba ala kaises, he says, don't drink another one. Rely on the Rav Yah. Rely on the Rav Yah. Venerally, in Mashasa Kais Shlishi, Arivi, Baseba, Ein Lakta Velishles. Right? And why? Because Gedai. Sorry, I skipped the line. V'yeshayim, the Bizman Hazeh, the Ein Derech Lahesiv, people aren't mesiv. Kedai hu Rav Yah lismach Allah shabbat the eved yatsa b'lei seba. Says the Ramah that if someone didn't lean, right, even between the 1st and 2nd kais, it's kedai Rav Yah to be soymach on him. You don't have to drink over again. So those of you who are worried that you weren't yetsa the mitzvah all the years till now because you didn't have a pillow, you have the Rav Yah. But says the Ramah, v'nerally says the Ramah, if it's the 1st and 2nd kais and there's no problem to drink over again, drink it over again. The third and fourth kites, we have an issue with Marbala Kais. Then he says, don't drink over again to the third and fourth kites. The first and second says in the you drink over again. The third and fourth not.
What does he say about the Afikomen?
Afikomen you have to do by Seba. You don't do, if you eat Afikomen Shalei by Seba, that's a different shmuz. It's a different shmuz. There's a stira. There's a stira in the Mishnah Berurah.
Next week's year.
There's a stira in the Mishnah Berurah if you have to lean. If you have to do it over again.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. There's a stira in the Mishnah Berurah if someone ate Afikomen Shalei by Seba, if he has to eat Afikomen over again. So the Mishnah Berurah in one place says you don't, one place says you do. That's how you answer it.
What about your matzah during
So the matzah, if someone ate matzah during in the first kazayas the matzah, and then he realized didn't do by seba, he's do eat over again.
And you do the full brachas and everything?
Not brachas, without a bracha. Without a bracha. Without a bracha. You don't do it with a bracha.
Right.
According to the Ramah, according to the Mechaber, some people say, because the Mechaber doesn't go to Rav Yah at all. Some people want to say, according to the Mechaber, if you ate a matzah with shlei by seba, and then you realize there was no haseva, but then you heard a shir that you have to lean on the pillow. Says some achrayim that you may have to make a bracha over again according to the machaber on the matzah,
on the yayin,
on the chilas matzah.
Right, on the wine.
On the wine, there's no bracha.
No, but every time you come, you're making
bari piagofen.
The first, the second.
No. So you want to make another bari piagofen, but the chilas matzah you would have to make over again.
Bracha, mitzvah bracha.
Yeah. Right. The reason I make it, there's a different reason why you make it every time a new bracha la yayin. We will leave that for different. Why every time you make a new bracha, a bari piagofen. So one of the reasons the Rif brings down is because everyone's a new mitzvah. So it's like a brichas mitzvah. But it's not supposed that's the reason why. But by chilas matzah, it's definitely a brichas mitzvah. So according to the Mechaber, who doesn't use the Rav Yah at all, the Mechaber says you ate matzah shlei by seva, you have to eat over again by seva. So according to the Mechaber, some Achayim say you have to make a bracha like chilas matzah again. You weren't yet a mitzvah. According to the Ramah, that you have the Rav Yah to be Saimachan, the Ramah does bring in the Rav Yah a few times, therefore you won't make another Achilas Matzah, but you would eat again leaning. Someone forgot to eat leaning, he should eat again the Kazayas Matzah leaning. The other time the Rav Yah uses the other time the Ramah uses the Rav Yah is for ladies. It says ladies don't do a seba, even though today ladies are called Isha Chashuva, still they shouldn't lean. Why? Because of the Rav Yah. The part of because of the Rav Yah. He uses the Rav Yah for women. There's a few other times that the Ramah throws in the Rav Yah.
Why?
That's not for now.
For different share with no cake.
Exactly.
It's a question. Anytime there's a question if they have to lean or not. The Ramah will be mitzaref to Shittas Rav Yah. Nashim is a question if they have to do a seba, and it's a question if Nashim today are called they're called Isha Chashuva. So anytime there's a question about it, the Ramah will throw in the Rav Yah and say, therefore you're potter. Okay, that's enough for now. Hope.
Which way?
can turn it off.
Does it matter which?
You have to do your left side.
And if you do the right?
No, I save it in.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So that's also a good question. If someone lean on the right side, instead of the left side, right?
That's not good.
So a pashtus, if you lean on your right side, it's not called a seba. But there's a question. The Gemara says, if you lean on your right side, loishma a seba, v'oid shemayaktim kana leveshet, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Right. So the question is, the Rashbam and Rashi bring out different reasons. If you say the reason is that the right side is not called heseba, then you weren't yetzer.
Right.
If the reason is only because of a sakana, maybe Shem Yaktim Kana Leveshet, okay.
But yeah, it should be good.
You're still Yaitza. You're right, don't do it on the right side because of a sakana. But if you did it on the right side.
Is that medically proven? Is that true?
And you survived?
Is that medically proven?
I mean, sometimes we get things that are passed down that are found out to be not true.
Right, so if you can say there's no sakana, and the whole thing was sakana, so then you could do it on the right side. But if you say that.
Lefty or righty, sometimes you might.
Right. So there's a question about lefty, which side he should be massive on.
Right.
I think left side no matter what.
There's a question. If you're going to say the promise of Miyaktim Kana Leveshet, then even lefty should be on the left side.
Right.
But if you're going to say because of a Sevis in Min, it's not going to say about lefty, you could do it on the right side.
Okay.